WWE Monday Night Raw had a lot of pressure on it going into Minneapolis. We said going in that there were a few notes that they need to hit, and they hit them perfectly. Let's break down a really fun night of Monday Night Raw. The road to WrestleMania is really ramping up. They're back stateside. We're getting shots of Allegiant Stadium. We're plugging different things. For some reason, Tony Hinchcliffe's on commentary for matches, but whatever. We are getting ready for WrestleMania. And there was a lot that I said going into this needed to happen, and I think they kind of checked all the boxes on it, really. I think it hit so many compelling notes going into this final episode. And so I wasn't planning on doing this, but let's go back and check. What did I say yesterday going into this pay-per-view? Like, what needed to be hit? Jey Uso needs to step up now. Done. 100% check mark on that. The Paul Heyman CM Punk chat, so interested in this. Well, we didn't get a lot of CM Punk chatting, but I thought Seth Rollins kind of tied everything in together, so check. And then the world title match, I thought the New Day being champions going into Mania with some kind of shenanigans would be a good thing. That they end up getting a win, but by disqualification and whatnot. So we don't exactly check that box, but we have a good match and we have a decent story, I think, if they want to do that at WrestleMania. So really, this show was exactly what the WWE needed it to be. Let's go a little bit more in depth. Jey Uso cut the promo of his life in that. Just absolutely excellent. And just, it's those details as well. And he's coming down from the crowd. And I got on Pat McAfee at Elimination Chamber. I just didn't think that he really met the moment there. I thought he fit this one perfect, where it was like, hey, look, he's not eating, you know, like you still make the jokes. Everyone else here is eating all over Gunther and all those things. Like you can still make jokes about it, but it did also, I think, kind of meet that moment where this is serious time now. It's winning time now. And he comes down and then he can't even look at Gunther. And it's kind of playing into what he wants to do with this promo, but I think it's also kind of playing into the motivations of Jey himself. Like for the promo aspect, he is wanting to give Gunther this kind of like inflated sense of self and then just immediately take it away from him and kind of give him this, oh shit, this guy's for real moment. And so he's looking away as if like, oh man, I can't even look at this guy. But in reality, he's not looking at this guy because the longer he stares at him, the more he wants to rip his fucking head off. And so I thought he played that really, really well. And then he takes the glasses off. They did have one little production snafu where you can see him kind of go microphone and then he smacks the microphone away. So we probably could have wide-shotted that one maybe a little bit better. But aside from that, I thought he was great. And then he gets into the promo and the vulnerability of all of it. Like, yeah, I was scared, man. I was. You had me. You absolutely had me. And just like playing into that, you know? And what we kind of did it something similar with a Gunther match last year with Sami Zayn, but Sami wasn't really willing to admit that he was afraid of Gunther, and then he is finally able to in the backstage stuff with Chad Gable, and then he rushes on out from there and goes on and wins the Intercontinental title. And so when you can finally admit that fear we are seeing with Gunther, it is that breakthrough moment. And so to have that vulnerability from that character, I thought was great. And then like there are ways that you could go with it, but the family one where it's like you got family, like you, and just tying it all into that. And then instead of like, you did this to Jimmy, it was, I let you do this to Jimmy because of my own fear. And then McAfee, I thought, summed it up pretty well after. It's like, hey, look, man, my brother, like he got stitches and stuff, but you know, from the hangover, but did you die? He's still breathing. He's still standing. You are just a man and I can take you down at WrestleMania. I thought it was just the I'm not afraid of you thing. I thought it was the perfect note to hit. We said that this needed to find another level and it did. Jey had the seriousness that you want from a world title feud, and he had like I said, it was the promo of his life that he cuts, and then Gunther reacts perfectly where he is smug and he is smarmy, and then there is a oh shit kind of a moment like, oh, I may have fucked up. And Jey even said in the thing, like, if you would have just kept on keeping on, I would have been afraid of you. You had me, but you couldn't help yourself. And so again, like we just get into the motivations of these characters and we get into the different dynamics that are at play here. And I just thought it hit everything absolutely perfect. And so this sets up a lot of intrigue going into WrestleMania now, because there was a bit there, like right at the beginning, where it's like, yeah, you know what, man? Jey is the champ. Let's just do it and let's get wild and let's see what happens. And then as the build's going on, it's like, no, he's not ready. It's Gunther's Gunther's title still. Let's just keep rolling with that. But now you see that promo and you see it and it's like, how can you not give this guy the championship at WrestleMania? How can you not let this guy have this big moment when he has finally broken through in this way? But then at the same time, it's like Gunther's this unstoppable guy, and are we just going to have him lose championships at WrestleMania every single year? So there's a lot of intrigue going into this match now that kind of comes away from it. I thought it was just, with 1 week left, I thought it was the perfect note for them to hit, and I thought they did that in a fantastic way here with this promo. So just great work from Jey Uso on that one. Before we keep going here with Raw, again, we're going to be doing a Twitch stream coming up at 3 o'clock Mountain Time over at twitch.tv/primetimepk. And if you're watching this right now, share it with your friends. I'm trying to grow this YouTube channel. That's why we started doing the things live here now. So share it with your friends, get chat going, and it's always more fun when there's more people involved. So make sure you share those videos. The other big one that we needed to hit with this whole story, with this whole build was the Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Roman Reigns match. This hit all the notes that it needed to as well. I thought you could have left a lot of it unsaid, honestly, with like, well, I mean, he's in Punk's corner, but what's going to stop him from going and helping out Roman Reigns and stuff like that? And so I thought Seth just kind of almost stating the obvious, brought it out to light a little bit more and just added a little bit more of that, oh, okay, so they know. So what are we doing with this now? So I think very fascinating what we're going to see now from this one coming up at WrestleMania. What is the Paul Heyman kind of tie-in with everything now, with Punk and with Roman Reigns? And so I thought that was great. And then he's pushing Heyman's buttons. It's awesome. And it's CM Punk coming out now. And so there's a different layer now that you are fighting for, where you're obviously all three of these guys hate each other, but now there's a Paul Heyman level to it that is obviously connecting Roman and Punk, but now Seth Rollins gets that connector with it as well, with him kind of bullying, and you see kind of the emotional attachment that these guys have. So this is great, and this is something that like 20 years ago it would have been over a blonde girl, and it would have been fighting for the love of someone. But now it is just like it's fighting for friendship, and it's fighting, which God, coming out of the mouth sounds really bad, but not bad, but kind of lame. But it is fighting for just fighting for a little bit more. But it doesn't have to be a romantic thing or anything like that. Like it's. Maybe I'm looking a little bit too far into it, but I think it was great. I thought it was awesome. The one thing that I didn't like was how and it's been for a little bit here, how Rollins is going about kind of justifying his hatred of CM Punk. It can be very easy to, right? And he's kind of hit a bunch of them, right? Like it's, this guy left for 10 years and wanted this company to fail. Like you wanted me to fail. You left and left me to carry the ball, and I have done that. And now you're coming back and trying to just take advantage of the work that I have done. How dare you? You can do that very easily. But we're getting into the soul of the wrestling industry is on the line in a non-title triple threat match at WrestleMania. That's where you lose me a little bit, because then I go, well, like it's not for a championship, but well, it's for the soul. But I thought we did that already. I thought we did the soul thing. So why do we need to do that? One more time here. So I just thought that it's hitting the same note as last year, because we did that last year, where it's we need Cody to take down Roman, and we are fighting Roman because he is trying to ruin everything. And if he is at the top for one more year, it is going to take the soul of wrestling away. You know what? I can buy that one. But now we're doing it again, and it's just like, we're going back to it, and I don't love that. So I do kind of wish that Seth was going about it maybe in a different way. But I thought he was great. And I've said before, I'm not the biggest Seth Rollins promo guy. I'm just something about it doesn't necessarily click with me. But I thought he was great here. And then the ending where now you owe me a favor just adds another layer of the intrigue to that. Couple other notes from this one. The women's title finally getting locked in as the triple threat. I thought it was a good segment. We are taking a few logical leaps with Rhea getting into this one and how they have tried to position her into it. I think there was probably an easier way to go about it that honestly probably made a little bit more sense from just a realism standpoint. But the one thing I don't like is that it's one thing for us to kind of have this perceived afterthought of Io there. And again, I am protective of my genius of this guy because she is my absolute favorite wrestler right now. But when they are just flat out saying in their promos, like, I'm going to beat you for the women's title. And I'm going to beat you for the women's title. And Io's like, bitch, I'm going to drop kick you into someone's shoulder here. I feel like it's tough enough for Io to stand out with these two stars in this match. I don't think we need them to be telling us that we don't need to pay attention to Io as well. And so I am a little bit worried that WrestleMania is going to come and Io's going to win this match, but the story is going to be Bianca and Rhea were too focused on beating each other, and Io is able to just swoop in and get the win. And so you don't really legitimize someone who is one of the better performers in the world right now. But again, I'm very protective of my Genius of the Sky. A reminder that you can catch this if you're watching on YouTube. We can catch it in podcast form. It is available on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. Couple other notes, like I said before, the New Day against the War Raiders, I thought it was a really strong match. If this is a Mania program, I have no problem with it. They have a built-in kind of chemistry from some of the work that they did before as opponents a few years ago, and obviously it's a little bit different now with them on either sides, on different sides of the babyface heel equation, and this New Day, I think, kind of turn deserves a spot at WrestleMania, so I would like to see them in that spot, and War Raiders are just really, really good. So I think that is a strong match that you can kind of put together. And just thinking about it, like watching the Usos teamed up, it would be fun if we got another New Day against Usos program with the New Day on the heel side. I think that would be kind of fun, but that's probably a little bit ways down the road. Valkyria against Bayley, this match absolutely tore the house down. I don't know, like Michael Cole at the end saying an instant classic. Might be a little bit much, but I thought it was a really good match. Valkyria continues to put on very, very good matches and really establishing the women's Intercontinental title the same way the men's was as a workers' championship, so to speak. So I like what she is doing in that way. And I just wish there was a little bit more character with her. And so I do think her teaming with Bayley in this gauntlet is going to help bring a little bit more of that out and maybe give people a little bit more reason to be invested. I think they're a pretty fun tag team, actually. I'm a little disappointed that the Bayley-Roxy feud just kind of went away. And now Roxanne Perez is just still on NXT. I think she is very, very much main roster ready. And I'm a little surprised that we haven't got anything since that little run from Royal Rumble to Elimination Chamber. Also, Dom had a hell of a match against Penta. Like that was really, really good. And they really had people buying that Dom could get a win over Penta. So that they are obviously two guys whose styles mesh well. And we are really kind of putting a bit of focus on Dominic Mysterio in this Intercontinental title match. Now, if he wins it, I'm going to shed at least one tear because I would rather Braun have it or I would rather Penta have it. But Dom, like we are starting to see now that there is just a little bit more to this guy than he just happens to have a bit of a weird look and is also kind of hateable because we really like his dad, who he's mean to, and we really like Rhea, who he's mean to. There's a little bit more to this guy now, and so we are getting a few more layers to Dom, and it's starting to see that kind of potential. And I was kind of thinking about it the other day, or watching this match. It is what they should have done, and I'm not saying that the other guy would have got to this level, but it's kind of what should have been done with like a David Flair, right? Like he comes in and has this thing with his dad and he gets just thrust into it way before he's ready. They have really eased Dom into this in a way that has kind of, he has some strengths already, but he has some weaknesses as someone who is still very new to the industry, but they have really highlighted the strengths while letting him work on the weaknesses, and it's really turning him into a well-rounded performer and someone that there is actually quite a bit of future in now with Dominic Mysterio. Honestly, I think you can tell. I thought this was a really strong show. If this would have been the go-home show, I'd be like, yep, we are ready for WrestleMania. Let's go. So they still have another week. They still have maybe a couple other notes to hit, but this was a very, very strong outing for the WWE.